Hello and welcome to Recharge Wrestling. We are here to plug you into the world of professional wrestling. I'm Keeney and I'm joined this week by Fisher.
Hello, guys.
Yeah, so it's a two-man pod this week and we're just going to go through the week in wrestling, WWE, NXT and AEW.
Yep.
We would normally sort of have a news section, but there's not too much news this week, so we're just going to crack on with SmackDown to start with. And obviously, we've already done the WrestleMania Backlash review show, so if you haven't checked that out, go check it out on YouTube or in your podcast feeds. So there's a lot of WrestleMania Backlash related stuff on SmackDown we won't cover.
Yeah, because there's not really much point in going through stuff that happened before the pay-per-view.
Exactly, but with WrestleMania Backlash stuff aside, what did you take from SmackDown? It was like
there was a couple of really good things. There was I've been very, very critical, and in fact, it was my skip mark, I think, last week of the Sheamus, Ridge Holland, New Day feud in general. I said, where is it going? There's just roll-up finishes. It's been going on way too long. But last week, if that was a conclusion for it, which I hope it is, it was a very good conclusion. A really, really fun tables match, which we don't see tables matches all that often either, especially just on TV, on SmackDown. And they just had a real banger of a match. 4 really good guys, to be fair. And what I really liked here is the use of Butch coming out from under the ring as well to sort of help them. And then in the end, they put Xavier Woods through the table, didn't they, with Sheamus and Ridge?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just a much more fun match. There's a white noise on the apron at one point. Kofi used Sheamus's move as well, the 10 beats.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
So there's some really cool spots in this match. It was actually a really, really good match. I was quite impressed. Especially SmackDown recently hasn't had much good wrestling on it. It's had some okay promos and storylines and angles, but this was a good match for a TV match on SmackDown.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you're right to say this kind of better than what they've been producing match quality.
Yeah.
I don't think the match quality's been there for a few weeks, probably since Mania actually. But I thought this was a really good one. And like I said, just a bit of fun. I know they're feuding, but I'm not particularly invested in the feud, and it was just a nice, fun match to watch. Enjoyed every minute of it, really. And like you say, the Butch under the ring thing was quite cool. I mean, you were critical of Butch. Now we've seen him live and a few more weeks on. Are you still critical of Butch or?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's just because I love Pete Dunne, I think, more than anything else. And to see him just sort of doing silly stuff rather than wrestling isn't great. But I think the last couple of weeks, obviously the stuff they did on the live shows in the European tour was really good.
Yeah.
And I think this here was a better use of him coming out and being found as such and hiding under the ring and helping. He looks better here. He was so aggressive still as well. He was still going nuts after as well.
Yeah, I know.
Even though, his team won. So it's not too bad. And I think what didn't help, as I've said before, it wasn't just Butch's character. It was also the way he lost both matches by roll-ups and things like that. Whereas here, he was involved in a much more fun match. I think this was a much better use of all of these guys than... Because for me, it's brought Sheamus down. It's brought the New Day down, like, massively, this whole feud. But this was a bit more of what I like to see from these guys.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Just look at what else happened on the show that's not related to Backlash. We had Gunther. He had a match this time against Drew Gulak.
Yeah, I love this.
Finally got to see him against probably the bottom of the men's division, but I got to see him against someone actually on the roster. And again, just dominant from Gunther again. And again, not a bad use. At least Gulak's on TV. He's getting destroyed, but it's not a bad position for him to be in.
No, I love the fact they showed a video package of him having his different auditions for different roles. His ring announcer, timekeeper, and all that kind of stuff. And then he comes out and he's just back in action, and he didn't know who his opponent was going to be. So he gets in, and then Gunther's music hit, and his face is like, "Oh shit!" He knew what was coming, but I thought it was good to see Gunther against someone actually on the roster, like you say, and it's good to see Gulak in this role. I hope to see him actually wrestle a little bit more. And not just get beaten up. But I love him as a character as well. He just makes everything he does is good.
Yeah,
You can do the
Gulak's
simplest. You can give him
gold,
1
yeah.
minute of screen time, and it will be a good minute normally.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely
that's what I like
someone
about him.
someone that I think they'd be mad to release just because he's just useful to have around.
Yeah.
Useful.
And I'm
like I
sure
say,
he's happy in the spot that he's in most of the time as well.
And I mean, he is a very, very good wrestler, like very good technical wrestler. Should be wrestling more. Should be wrestling more seriously.
I know he coaches as well.
Yeah, but it'd be quite cool. Yeah, I think he could do a good job as a manager, as a GM. Like, I think he's got all this in his locker. So I think.
Well, we'll get to what could happen because we'll get to the angle on Raw with Sonya. But I did see some people suggest online that maybe that's the role Drew Gulak's going to go into, like a general manager kind of role alongside Adam Pearce.
I could see it.
Yeah, I think it'd be good for him. They could still wrestle occasionally, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I know, and I think I'm just I think now on the Gunter side of things, just waiting to see who his first proper feud is, because there's been no hints at anything yet. He's just destroying nobodies.
It's just a lack of now. I think it's just a lack of options on SmackDown. The roster's so thin on that side.
Yeah, I mean, we saw him against Shinsuke live, and we thought maybe that could be his first feud, but Shinsuke's seems to be going back towards Roman Reigns all of a sudden.
Yes, I will mention that. Should we segue onto that? So
yeah, I think it's a good segue.
What I really liked on this show, there was another segment, and I'm glad they didn't just drop the Nakamura thing, because we thought they had, wouldn't they? Because you didn't see him in weeks. Then he was just a lumberjack in the lumberjack match between Drew and Sammy. And we were like, oh my God, they've just completely dropped Shinsuke's thing. But here he said, no, I haven't forgotten about that. And it's kind of suggested that maybe we are still going to get that match at some point. And obviously what I liked about this again is the character of Sami Zayn. Last week he was spying on Drew McIntyre and RK Bro, and he went and told the Bloodline what they were saying. And here he was spying on Shinsuke Nakamura. And then I love the little interaction between Sami Zayn and Paul Heyman. That was fantastic. And then that led to Zayn and Nakamura having a match. And he told Paul Heyman that he'd take care of Nakamura himself and that Roman doesn't have to worry. And then they had a really good match with a non-finish.
A count out, yeah. Sami Zayn got the win.
Sami Zayn won, which is, rare for him and nice for him. It wasn't a proper win. It was a count out. So I think we'll get this match again. I hope they don't just run it into the ground. But it was a good match.
It was. And I think Sami Zayn's vital for SmackDown. I mean, SmackDown are so thin on the ground. Sami Zayn can take up 3 or 4 segments of the show.
Especially if the rumor is, Roman might be taking some time off. Charlotte's definitely taking some time off. It's such a thin roster. Sami Zayn might have to be one of the guys carrying that show, legitimately.
Yeah, well, I think he's okay. After Roman, I think he's been the next biggest star almost on the show. I mean, I don't think, Charlotte and Ronda, you could argue, but I think Sami Zayn's always great. And again,
he's normally the best part of the show other than Roman.
Yeah, you mentioned it with Gulak. Every time he's on the TV, he's good. And Sami Zayn's that. Like I say, give Sami Zayn 30 seconds and he'll make it at 30 seconds you remember. Because he's just so good at what he does, Sami Zayn. But yeah, it's just nice to see him back wrestling.
Definitely.
I guess. Yeah, it is good to see him back wrestling, yeah. And it was I think there's only one other match on the show actually that isn't Backlash related, and that's Sasha Banks and Shayna Baszler.
Obviously Shayna Baszler won this week for the tag team titles. Shayna Baszler won. Natalya put Baszler's feet on the ropes for momentum. And then there's a beatdown afterwards, and there was a good. I laughed at the commentary from Pat McAfee because Baszler did her stomp, and he called it the Future Endeavours stomp. Because there was a period where she did it to Eva Marie and then Nia Jax, and they both got released. Obviously, that's not going to happen to Sasha Banks, but that was it. It was match was just average, really. I'm sure the tag match will be good that it's led to. I think that will be good.
Yeah, definitely. So we can move on to Raw, but I can segue us on to Raw with my skid mark. Actually, because my skid mark this week, and it actually both things on both shows annoyed me. Is Lacey Evans this week. We've seen now 5 weeks, and just on that subject, 5 weeks is too long to be telling this really hard hitting story. And like, you assume she's a babyface. The way she's speaking, it's like, I was a national hero, my dad left me and all this, and like really pulling at the heartstrings. And then on SmackDown, really strangely, they go to Samantha Irvine in the ring, and she's like, "Oh, Lacey Evans wants your respect and applause." I'm like, "Oh, that's a weird thing to say, like for a face. Like you don't usually hear that. Like someone is asking for respect. That's like a heel thing to do."
Yeah.
And then she comes out, kind of celebrates with one guy in the crowd at least, and she kind of steps up, and then we see the segment again, or the chapter 5 of her story on Raw.
I couldn't believe it when it popped up.
Yeah, and I was like,
we don't need this on both shows.
They just lost for time, but they just have an extra 2 minutes to spare. But the talk is she's moving to Raw as a heel.
Yeah,
which has really confused me this past week, because 5 weeks have built up, and I just feel like they've just lost confidence in her as a face and have gone, "Oh no, we'll just keep her as a heel. We'll just." Like, it just feels really, really strange.
Yeah, and I feel like it's one of those things. It's like they do this sometimes where they did it with Veer for like 4 months, where they just kept doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah,
not putting him into a feud. They've done it with Aleister Black, and then they released him. They did it with Xia Li, and then they didn't do anything with her. Like they do these things where they build up a story. I mean, Veer wasn't the story; it was just coming soon promos.
Yeah,
but they build these stories and then they just don't do anything at the end of it. And it's disappointing. And then, to move her to Raw, we'll get to Raw's women's division in a minute, but to move it over to Raw, I think it's a baffling decision. With the return of Alexa Bliss, Sonya Deville was an in-ring competitor, seemingly on Raw, not on SmackDown.
Yeah.
And others, Asuka recently returning, and the strength of the women's division over there in general. I thought it was a weird move. I thought you could have just put Lacey. You could have had her come out, do the story again on Friday, but actually come out and confront Ronda Rousey or something and put her into a feud with her, or even Raquel or someone like that.
Yeah, well, it's also, like I say, it's the, I don't know if short-sightedness is the word. It's just the lack of the lack of believing in the story they're telling, because she wasn't meant to be on Raw, because she's had 5 weeks of promos on SmackDown, not on Raw. Mm. So the original plan when they started this 5 weeks of promos was, I will bring her in as a face on SmackDown. I'm pretty sure that was their plan. And then they seem to have just, again, I say, lost confidence. Oh no, actually, we'll put her as a heel. We'll move her to Raw.
It's possible they might have been planning a heel turn all along, and that I was kind of
maybe. I mean, I think
because I think there was a couple of times when we said in our promos there were like heel tendencies in there, even though most of it was very much sympathy babyface stuff.
It seems weird to have a heel talk about some of the stuff she was talking about, and
and being a US Marine and stuff as well. The Americans love that stuff.
It's a really, really strange direction. I mean, and the other part of it, without being too harsh, is Lacey Evans worth all this hassle? She's not a top star. She's that like mid-card level. So, I just think that they've almost, I think they've just messed it up, and it'll maybe be different once we see it in the ring in a feud. I'm not giving up on it yet.
It's too long without any indication of who she's actually going to feud with.
Yeah. I think the longest they should have kept this going is 3 weeks. So you do a start, a middle, and an end of your story.
Yeah.
5 weeks is just mad, and even 3 weeks is a bit long, really. But
and then the brand switch as well makes it worse, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I don't know about you, but when that Samantha Irvine was like, "Oh, Lacey Evans wants your applause and respect," I had to rewind. I was like, "Are you sure?" Like, that's a weird thing to say. I was like, maybe I misheard her there, but no, I was like, that's such a weird thing for a ring announcer to say. It's just really bizarre. But yeah, that's my skin mark. I just don't really understand Lacey Evans.
No, I do agree with
direction this past week.
I think we've been quite. I mean, we were kind of bored of it after a couple of weeks, but I think we've been fairly patient with it to see where it went.
Do you know, I was actually excited to see this US Marines face Lacey Evans in the ring. I thought this could be quite interesting, but it doesn't look like it. I mean, I don't think she'll be the sassy Southern Belle anymore, but yeah.
No, I think she's going to be quite a brutal heel. That's what I think she's going to be.
And maybe it'll be good. But, it's just strange week.
Let's transition onto that to Raw then, because that was where we. So we might as well let's talk about the women's division and the return of Alexa Bliss, because we mentioned it briefly.
Yeah,
this was very much a welcome return. I think people really wanted to see her back. There was big reaction when she did, and it was a squash match, wasn't it? It was just a complete squash.
She came out with her old music, or pretty much her old music.
Yeah, it was a weird. I wasn't.
But we heard
totally sure what character she was.
The start of it, yeah. Well, she had Lily still.
Yeah. But she didn't seem psycho. She just seemed.
But she also she did Twisted Bliss to win the match. She didn't do a Sister Abigail or anything. So she.
It felt like a bit of a cross between the two gimmicks.
It is a mix, and I actually don't mind them having a little crossover period. We saw it with her promos before Elimination Chamber, where she was transitioning. Every week she would look a little less like her old character. So I don't mind the transition period. But yeah, I mean, it's just again another person I'm confused with the direction of Alexa Bliss, because they brought her back for the Chamber as when she was in the match. She competed in the match, and it was
really good. I remember.
Yeah, the match where the winner got a WrestleMania shot for the Raw title, and then we've not seen her since. And there's no real rhyme or reason behind it. They obviously don't have anything for her. But then
think because why rush her back for
Chamber?
Yeah. It was not a decision to bring her back for the Chamber.
It was, but she's back now, and hopefully they've got stuff for her. And again, I don't want to segue just yet because I want to mention Sonya, so I'll leave that point for a second. But Sonya Deville was the other story here. We mentioned it briefly, but she has been removed as a WWE official and is now just an in-ring competitor. From Adam Pearce. So now Adam Pearce is currently GM of both shows, or not GM, but authority figure of both shows.
Well, they were across both shows anyway, weren't
they? They were,
He's now doing it on his own, which is interesting because I don't think he's necessarily a strong enough. I mean, he's good. He's good at what he does, don't get me wrong. But his character doesn't feel important enough for him to be a general manager across both shows. So I think they're going to bring someone else here. They may do the Gulak thing. They may do something else. Or do you think Sonya somehow gets back into this? Because
I don't think so. I think Sonya now will wrestle.
Yeah. The only thing is,
because we've seen her wrestle a lot more recently,
and she's good.
She is. Yeah.
But the women's division is quite stacked, and I just think she's going to get less screen time, less importance. Now she's just a wrestler. She's just on the same level as everybody else.
I mean, I think.
But she did go absolutely nuts after this, so maybe there's a direction there.
The character Sonya Deville is, and the story they've told, it would make sense if she created a stable to just destroy people. Like if you had Sonya, like maybe Doudrop and Nikki, or I don't know, if you just have her with two others, three others, who knows how many, but if you had her in a stable, I think it could be interesting. And I mean, maybe this is the point where we can segue, but could you see Sonya in Judgment Day?
That is a very good
potentially
shout. She wouldn't need to dress much differently, would she?
Yeah, she's a dark dress character.
Yeah, she wears kind of similar clothing already. I think she would fit actually.
Yeah, I just thought it could be interesting, and that I was going to mention this earlier, but I didn't want to segue. I think I've said it so many times before. It's feel like I'm always tooting this horn, but I want Alexa Bliss and Rhea Ripley to feud. And now Alexa Bliss is on the comeback from being dark and is transitioning back to Alexa Bliss. And we've got Rhea Ripley going the other way and has gone dark. Maybe now we can get Rhea and Alexa.
Yeah, that could definitely be a direction. I don't think they're done with Liv.
I know we're currently in Liv. Yeah, I know we're currently on Liv. But I
think that's a good shout.
Yeah.
And I mean, we might as well segue on to the Judgment Day stuff then.
Yeah, amazing.
And what was more interesting about this from Edge is at the end of the promo before Liv comes out, he clearly says, and the commentary mentioned it in the match as well, we're not done recruiting here. So clearly, I think you've got to keep your eye on people turning heel or being heel on Raw. So I think the prime candidates are either Balor turning on AJ, Ciampa, because he's a heel that's not doing much. I think there's Sonya Deville going crazy after the match is actually a good shout.
Yeah.
And I think there's 3 or 4 people. Every time you look at someone now, I think you can think Yeah, and he also, quite interestingly, Edge mentioned, "I'm the reason your favorite tag teams split up." Because obviously Rhea and Liv split up but do you think that's hinting as well, maybe towards someone from a tag team joining and turning? That could even be Balor turning on AJ, to be fair, because I can see Balor and AJ being a tag team for a short amount of time and Balor turning on AJ. I think that might be a bit of foreshadowing as well as talking about Rhea and Liv. I think there could be a double meaning to that. I think Edge knew what he was doing with that line.
Yeah, I mean, Edge is one of those characters that he doesn't do things by accident. He knows exactly what he's doing at all times, Edge. So you've got you got to believe that. I mean, I just thought this whole segment was cool. We finally got to hear from Priest. I think that's the first time we've heard from Priest since he's joined Judgment
We've heard him a little bit, but it's been more Edge, hasn't it? It's Edge. Yeah. He'll say a line or so at the end.
But then we got Rhea. They're all on the mic. But also Edge has
I thought Rhea. Yeah, he's got Rhea's hair. He's got Rhea's hair.
Maybe we should have Priest in it as well.
He looks pretty cool, Edge.
He does look cool. Yeah, he looks. But again, I mentioned it before. I think when your character changes drastically, you should change your music, change your moveset. And I think your appearance should change as well. And I think Edge has done all of those things. So, yeah.
And Rhea, I thought her promo here was better than most of her babyface promo she's cut on the main roster.
Yeah, well, it makes complete sense. The way Rhea dresses, everything, I think everything about her screams heel, but she's been a face basically the whole time. Even on NXT, she was face for basically a whole run.
Yeah, she was. I remember she was a heel in NXT UK for a long time when she was a dominant champion.
Yeah.
And she did have a brief heel run in NXT, I think, as well. But a lot of the time, for a long time, she has been a face.
Screams heel.
And so that obviously led to 2 matches, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Judgment Day had the first third of this show almost, didn't they?
Yeah, they did have a lot of it.
They were everywhere.
So you got Rhea versus Liv first, which was decent enough. Liv got a really good code breaker off the ropes for a near fall, but Rhea won. We talked about submission finishes with Edge winning with the submission, and we got it again here. Rhea win. She's used that move before.
Yeah, she has. I can't remember what it's called. I did know the name
but she didn't use the riptide here. She used the submission, and Liv tapped. So again, using submissions, I can see Damian Priest adding one to his moveset as well at some point. Don't think he has yet, but and then we got Balor versus Priest after, didn't we?
Which ended in a DQ.
Yeah, and we'll get to that because my skid mark is actually related to that. I don't know. Should I talk about that now?
Yeah, you might as well go on to it now, and then we can.
So I think the last few weeks, and a few other people have noticed this, high-profile sort of Twitter accounts and the stuff that I've seen. I've talked about how WWE has been better with its finishes recently. Less count-outs, less disqualifications. Still do roll-ups and things like that, but roll-ups are pins. They're finishes at least.
Yeah.
But DQs, they hadn't had any for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then on Raw, they went the other way, and I think we got 3 on one show, which for me is at least 1 too many. You can't do 3 on one show. So you got this match here between Balor and Priest, which was a decent match, but I don't think it needed to end in DQ. Rhea got in the way, and then spear from Edge. And they did an awesome double move, to be fair, afterwards, Edge and Priest, didn't they? On AJ, I think it was.
Yeah.
That was cool. But then you got, so you had Cody challenge Theory for the US title. And as soon as this match was announced, I knew that was going to be a DQ. That was so obvious.
It was. And especially Cody earlier on the show was like, I'm done with Seth now. I was like, well, yeah, but he's not done with you. Like,
because he's
as soon as he says that, it was obvious that it was going to happen.
And the thing is, they're not going to take the title off Theory already because they see something in Theory clearly, and they're also not going to have Cody lose. So it was obvious. That was so obvious that Seth was going to come in, and then even in the main event, they had a DQ with Bianca and Asuka having a very short match. I saw there's only sort of 10 minutes left, and I thought, we're not, either we're getting one of these two lose way too quickly, or we're getting a DQ. And as soon as Becky was on commentary,
it was again. This was obvious. This was obvious.
And they just did. They could have spread these out over a couple of weeks. I think they maybe didn't need to do Bianca Belair versus Asuka this week.
No.
I think they could have left that and set that up this week with maybe doing a segment where Asuka and Becky are arguing, and then they argue. Then Bianca, over who could go for the title, and then Bianca can say, "Well, I'll face Asuka next week if she beats me," because Becky had a good point earlier on in her promo as well, where she was saying that Asuka just basically got handed everything and stuff. And I was actually agreeing with Becky. But yeah, it's just the amount of DQs more than anything else.
And it's the biggest matches on the show. I mean, they hyped up Theory and Cody quite a lot throughout the show.
Yeah.
So
they advertised. Yeah, they kept saying
they made it seem like a
top
big
of the
match.
second hour.
Yeah, they did. They even told you what time it was starting.
Yeah, 10 o'clock
is rare. Yeah.
Yeah, top of the third hour. Sorry, I think.
And then to not have that have a finish when you build up like that is an interesting one.
Yeah, and then I don't like main events ending in DQs either, because you've got to leave your show. I know the fans get a dark match after the show quite often, but for me, even the watching fans on TV, you've got to leave them happy with some sort of outcome. And for just to get a DQ and then just an average angle, it wasn't like a massive angle afterwards either. It was
I know, it's just the thing about it is, like I say, it's a big match, but also they're just, you can spot them a mile off. Let's say anyone who's watched wrestling for any period of time, knows Cody and Theory's not ending in a proper way. You know that main event with 10 minutes to go and Becky commentary, you know that's not going to end properly.
Yeah, and Asuka just coming back, they're not going to have a lose already. And then
and you look at Belair's defended. Oh no, she defended against Sonya, but basically not defended her belt. I mean, on that, do you reckon? I think it's a good skid mark, by the way. I think. Do you reckon we're getting a triple threat?
Yeah, I was going to ask you the same thing. I think it makes sense now that they have a triple threat Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah.
I mean, if Roman's not at Hell in a Cell, which is the big rumor, you can headline Hell in a Cell with this is one of your big matches, and then potentially Cody and Rollins as well.
Well, you could. This is how we've started Raw. Is talking about the women's division. It's so strong. This is the women's title match without Alexa Bliss, without Rhea Ripley, without Lacey Evans, who's now on Raw, without Doudrop, Nikki, Liv Morgan's not involved in it. It's such a strong women's division now. That Sonya Deville as well. I mean, there's so many good people you could put in a title match. I think all of those could get a title match, and arguably the three top are all. These are the three top of this great division.
Yeah,
Asuka,
I would
Belair,
say they are the three top. Yeah, I mean, although Rhea Ripley may well work her way into that by time. I think in a few months' time we'll be saying that about Rhea Ripley. Hopefully, if Judgment Day goes as planned. But yeah, really good women's division, but just not good booking of matches here. And it's the first time in Raw I've been disappointed with that, because I think recently they've been much better with having finishes to matches, even if it's roll-ups every now and then. Yeah, at least we're getting pins.
I think also, just to touch on Theory and Cody, which was a good match for while it lasted.
Oh, it was really good while they were wrestling.
I mean, I'm such a fan of Theory. Huge fan of Theory. But I think what Raw do really well, and what, again, it's the same company, so it's amazing the difference between the two shows. So SmackDown don't do this at all. Is the US title feels like a huge, it feels important because they haven't got the main title really on Raw. So at least the tag division's quite well booked. The women's division's very well booked. And now we've got the mid-card title being quite well booked because Theory, he's had a feud with Balor, and then he had Ali for a bit. Now he has Cody here, and he's always defending. He's always on the show. Theory, he's always doing stuff. And we mentioned SmackDown. I mean, where was Ricochet again? There's no main title on the show. Ricochet's a mid-card champion. Ricochet's nowhere to be seen. So, Raw just do it so much better. And it's just maddening that they can't apply the same logic to both shows. I don't really get it.
I've got a feeling we might get Ricochet. We're talking about Gunther's first feud. I've got a feeling we might do Gunther v Ricochet.
Yeah, I'd be happy to get a belt on Gunther ASAP.
And then you just put the belt on him, and he can just have him beat people up for every week. I think it'd be great.
Yeah,
not that Ricochet has done okay with that title, but
well, the thing is with Ricochet is it's not a slight on him at all. Because I think, and especially watching him live the other week, I think he's absolutely amazing. But they don't think he is. They clearly, there's something with Ricochet. They will
it's
not.
It's the promos.
Because they never push him. They push him a little bit and then stop completely. They never, like you were seeing with Theory, like he's getting a proper push and just don't get out of Ricochet, do we?
No, he wasn't on the Mania card
or Priest before, or whoever's US champion tends to be a bigger deal than the IC champion.
Yeah.
I mentioned the Raw tag division, and we did get a tag team title match on this show.
Oh yeah.
To kick off the show, RK Bro defending against the Street Profits, which was just a good tag team title match, and it's a match that I think I've been well up. I think we've obviously seen it before, but it feels like Profits have got a slightly new edge to them. And
definitely they have. Yeah.
A really good match, and it ended as we've seen a lot recently with Riddle hitting a fancy RKO, catching Montez Ford off the top rope with an RKO. So Riddle's hitting him out of nowhere all of a sudden. Well, not all of a sudden, he's been doing it for a little while now. But yeah, I just loved that Riddle was just incorporated Orton's moveset, or the RKO at least anyway.
Yeah, the only thing about this is I think it's just, I know the tag teams have been important, and RK Bro have been really over and everything, and Alpha Academy have been great, but it is 3 teams on repeat on Raw. And it does definitely need a new lease of life. There needs to be a team brought in that aren't one of those 3 teams.
Or Judgment Day.
Judgment Day could have potential to be a team. Obviously, if you do Balor and AJ as a team, but I don't think that's going to be a thing for long.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've still got obviously the Dirty Dogs and the Mysterios, but they've been involved in other things and stuff. I think there needs to be a bit of a freshen up, because I feel like we've seen the Street Profits, Alpha Academy, and RK Bro over again.
Yeah, well, it's been since before Mania.
The match was good here, and obviously, like you say, Riddle hitting the RKO to win. Riddle accidentally did take out Orton in this match at one point, which I thought was
I felt like that felt botched. I don't know, just because it was like completely out of nowhere. Oh, wait, what's happened there? But maybe that means something down the line.
Yeah, and Montez had his moment in this match with his big splash and stuff. It was decent.
Yeah, Montez. I mean, again, these 4 guys always have good matches. No. Yeah. What's good though is RK Bro did mention about they still want a unified tag belt, so they haven't just forgotten about that. RK Bro did mention,
and they are going to SmackDown on Friday, I believe.
Yeah, so I think again, Hell in a Cell, bring it on, RK Bro and Usos.
Yeah, hopefully we get that.
It would be a great. I mean, we wanted it for the pay-per-view, and they promised it and pulled it back last minute. So yeah, well up for that. Look at what else on the show.
Can we talk about Ken Owens?
Oh yes, yeah, go for it, Ken Owens.
So this is I mean, I love Kevin Owens anyway, as you know, and I really enjoy Elias or Ezekiel as a performer as well.
Elias' younger brother.
Everything they did here again it's just brilliant. Again, it's just comedy gold. So there was just a little segment backstage, and KO just said he's going to bring in his brother. He's talking to Chad Gable and Otis. Gable was saying that basically he's got scientific evidence next week that he's going to reveal that Ezekiel is Elias, and Owens was excited. He's like, I'm going to bring in my brother tonight to face Ezekiel. I'm going to bring in Ken Owens, and then they have a match. KO comes down in a grey wig. He's dyed his beard grey. And what I loved as well is about this is he got in the ring. They started chatting, and then Owens revealed he was Kevin Owens all along, and Elias, like Ezekiel, actually seemed shocked.
Yeah,
it just popped me.
Yeah, it
is great. Kevin all along, and he's like, whoa. And it was really good. And then the match never happened. We got a 3-on-1 beat down with Alpha Academy just standing there, and then Chad Gable just doing thank you. And there was a big shoosh. Did you see the big shoosh sign in the background?
I don't remember it now. But
yeah, as this was going on, there was like 10 people with the word, like a letter each, just like loads of O's. And
that's
it was
amazing,
really good.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder whether this goes to the pay-per-view, whether this is a TV feud. I mean, you could put it in a pay-per-view because it's Kevin Owens, but...
Yeah, I don't think... I've got a feeling it won't. I think this is just a filler thing.
Yeah. Or whether, Alpha Academy get involved and then you have a 6-man, maybe, if you can get someone with Ezekiel.
Yeah. I've heard some hilarious suggestions online that they should bring back Damien Sandow as Elias, because he looked a bit like Elias.
Oh, yeah,
and Damien Sandow can play that comedy role.
Yeah, that would be a good shout, actually. Sound out Elias.
And then it's proven that he's actually Ezekiel's brother. I think it'd be well funny. It wouldn't be a long time thing, but just for like a week or two would be well funny.
Yeah, that would be good actually. Would be good. What else do we have? We had the VIP lounge with MVP and Omos, which Lashley gate crashed.
Yeah, not a lot to this, but obviously it's setting up a big match for next week in the steel cage. So I don't think we're getting this at Hell in a Cell. We're getting it in a cage next week, which I think is a good move.
This is a match I think you need on a pay-per-view for the third time.
No, I agree. I think it's a big Raw match, though. It's cool.
Yeah, and again, we mentioned last week, but we had Cedric involved again here. He came down to try and prove himself to Omos and MVP, and then Lashley took him out.
Again, at least he's getting some TV time. It's not like an amazing use of him, but
that's exactly it.
I don't know where Shelton
Cedric's
Benjamin
too
is,
talented to be sat there doing nothing. I'm surprised they've not involved Shelton in this at any point. But I guess, I mean, how many times can you run back a combination of Lashley, Shelton, and Cedric? I feel like they've been linked for so long now. I just think I think I said it before. Just move Cedric to SmackDown. So I think he could get decent TV time. He's good on the mic. He's good in ring. I think he'd be a good person to move over.
Yeah, that does all make sense, really.
Get him away from Lashley and just get him doing his own separate thing, because he is good on his own. He doesn't need to be involved in the Hurt Business to be relevant, in my opinion. No,
I don't agree with
you. Veer Mahan beat Frank Loman.
Yeah, he beat Wardlow from Wish, didn't he?
Yeah.
Looks like it looked like Wardlow, but it wasn't Wardlow, obviously.
Yeah, and there's two other matches I think on the show which are worth mentioning, but probably a quick one. We had Sasha and Naomi beat Doudrop and Nikki. Interesting they did this match here, because we mentioned Doudrop and Nikki might be doing something. After the match, there was like a little confrontation between Doudrop and Nikki, and I think it was like, we need to get serious.
I said it last week, but I think they're going to drop the Nikki ASH gimmick. I think that's where they're just.
Do you reckon they could drop the Doudrop name as well and give them both proper wrestling names?
Yeah,
because they're both
Nikki Cross and Piper Niven, and they've
both got kind of stupid gimmicks really compared to what they were.
I mean, yeah, Doudrop's is just a name.
It's just a name, yeah. It is.
Whereas Nikki ASH is more her character and not being serious. And I think we're definitely getting a more serious version of Nikki, which I'm definitely all for.
Yeah. And I think they're really good as a team, and I think just have them.
They obviously know each other very well. They're both from Scotland.
Have them as a team for a long period of time. Stop chopping and changing and making you like Nikki.
You're not going to push either of them individually. I'm sorry, but you're not.
Well, they've both been in. They were both in title matches with quite recent, like within the last couple of 6 months or so. So, and you don't need them in the title picture for a little while.
No,
and
I don't see Nikki ever getting back to there. And Doudrop maybe one day, but I don't think with the Raw Women's Division the way it is, I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. So having them as a strong heel tag team makes a lot more sense to me. And you can use them eventually to maybe beat Sasha and Naomi, and have Sasha and Naomi will break up at some point. That's inevitable, with one of them turning heel on the other.
Yeah.
So the predictable route is Sasha turning heel like she always does, but Naomi joining the bloodline and going heel would be also excellent. So you could go either way on that one eventually. But yeah, so I feel like there needs to be a couple more strong tag teams, because really you've got Sasha and Naomi, you've got Natalya and Shayna, who not that strongly, and then you've got these two. I would like to see.
Are Carmella and Zelena still a team?
I'm not sure. Again, that's another heel team. There's 3 heel teams.
Yeah, the last time we saw them, they were helping.
I'd very much like to see. I mentioned this before, but Kaden Carter and Katana Chance called up as like a underdog babyface tag team. I think would be a really good tag team to put on the main roster.
Yep, 100% agree with that. I think they're both
again,
really
you don't need to break them up and push them. Just have them as a tag team.
Yeah, just have a tag team. Just have a tag team. It's not
hard.
It's fine to do.
You do it with the men. New Day have been together for 8 years.
Well, the Viking Raiders, you're never going to have them separate. Yeah. That's the team. You know that. That's fine.
Yeah.
There's a few. And also on the show, the only thing I don't think we've mentioned yet is we got a Ciampa and Ali match.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
this. special guest referee of The Miz.
Yeah, so this was really weird because it was after the women's tag. They were on the ramp, Sasha and Naomi still, and then The Miz's music hit, and I was like,
yeah, I know.
like, what's he doing here? And then so he comes down in a referee's outfit, and I was just well confused what was going on. And then obviously, yeah, we've got Ciampa and Ali, and it was obvious what was going to happen here.
Well, it's also interesting. We assumed the feud was Ali v Ciampa.
Yeah.
But this tells me the feud is Ali and Miz.
Yeah, and they've already had a match or two, haven't they?
And Ali was kind of, I thought he was feuding with Theory for a bit as well. Ali's been kind of knocked about left, right, and centre. He's just feuding with everyone.
Yeah, he did a really weird thing on, I don't know if you saw his video on Twitter the other day.
No, I've not, no.
It was addressing the United States champion Theory, but he was dressed as, he had like 10 different characters. He was wearing wigs and things. He was doing different voices. There was like a news report of him. It was good stuff, but yeah. So I feel like
good for good content.
I feel like he's kind of feuding with like 3 people at once, really. It's kind of interesting. But
yeah.
I hope this is going somewhere, and I'm not just going to have him like keep losing because he wants to go.
Yeah, not massive on a special referee. Not never been a big fan of special referees unless there's a legitimate reason for it. This one felt a bit random.
They can be.
I mean, they did mention that Miz Theory sorted out with Mr. McMahon for the Miz, so at least they did explain it. But yeah. And that's all I had from Raw. I don't know if you've got anything else.
No, I think that's it. I think it's time to move on to NXT.
Yeah, NXT, and I mean, as it should be called, it was women's night, wasn't it? Because every match had a woman in it.
Yeah,
every match. Well, the only men who wrestled on the show were Grayson Waller and Andre Chase.
Yep.
Really interesting to do this, and like not they didn't proclaim it. They didn't tell us it's be a women's match. They didn't even make a big deal about it on the show.
And that's what I like about NXT. Is it's not even a big deal for them to do this because we mentioned a couple of weeks ago there was 24 women featured on a show on an episode a couple of weeks ago, and it is quite normal for NXT to just put, obviously not this many women's matches on, but to have 3 or 4 on a show is quite normal for them. So it didn't feel any different really to a normal episode of NXT.
Honestly, I didn't even notice until after the fact. And I kind of looked back and I was like, hang on, was there not a men's match on the show? And I was kind of, oh yeah, there wasn't one at all. No,
it's very strange.
Yeah, I mean, what stood out for you?
I will say, obviously, I think the main event stood out as the match. I thought that was an excellent match.
Yeah, it was superb. And
Natalya and Cora Jade. Now,
the best Cora Jade we've seen.
Yes, and I think Natalya showed how good she is here. Excellent main event. And I've seen so many mixed thoughts on the finishes. I've seen some people say they loved it, some people say they hated it. What did you think on the finish?
I really liked it because I'm always a big fan. If you don't overdo it, and this is the first time Cora Jade's ever done it, so it's not a case of overdoing it. I'm fine with the babyface fighting really hard, the underdog, and they just pass out because they're too proud to quit.
Yeah,
I'm all for it.
And also,
and Natalya embracing her after.
Yeah, that's the key thing here is Natalya afterwards.
Well, she earned her respect. I think that's fine.
And I think it's almost better than her just winning like by fluke or whatever, which is what Cora Jade's done in the past is roll up wins.
Just roll up,
Yeah, so for me, her losing, but almost beating Natalya and passing out, not actually tapping out, tells a much better story than her just rolling up Natalya and getting a win that will be forgotten about next week. I feel like Cora Jade has got a big future in the women's division. I feel like she is already. They're doing a breakout star tournament, but I feel like she's been the breakout star the last few months in the women's division.
Yeah, she's the one they clearly have a lot of plans for.
And this match, like I say, was just really, really good. I thought it was an excellent match.
And again, it just goes to show the strength of bringing these people down because this match has put over Cora Jade more than the putting her in a title match, that fatal 4-way title match they did at the last takeover or whatever it was called.
Yeah, and it's main, and the thing is, it main events an episode because it's against Natalya,
and it
who is a big deal, you know. So
yeah, people will take notice of Cora Jade now. And I wish Krusty was on here because he's been the biggest critic of Cora Jade and her wrestling. But this was, I don't think even he can criticize this one from Cora Jade. I think
it was a really, really good match. She had an awesome bit where she did a knee strike and a tornado DDT where she got near full, noted a couple of moves down. A stomp off the top rope. I don't think I've seen her do that before. She may have, but I don't remember it. She also got Natalia in a sharpshooter at one point, which was again really cool to see.
Yeah.
Cool.
We saw a few sharpshooters this week.
Yeah, we'll get to that on AEW in a minute. But yeah, I thought that was the standout, obviously, match from the women's matches on NXT.
Yeah, I think it was. We actually opened with a tag team title match, NXT women's tag team title match. Sorry.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to throw this new team or Chu and Roxanne Perez in with into a tag team title match straight away. Probably the predictable result. You're not gonna have them lose the belts yet.
No, I was a little bit surprised Roxanne took the pin here, but
I know.
Feel like they're still building to her maybe winning that breakout tournament. And I don't know why the way to have her do that is to lose, but I feel like they.
She is only 20 years old, isn't she? I think it's fine to to do with Cora Jade. Cora Jade doesn't necessarily win all the time, but she's
getting
improving.
better and she's involved in storylines constantly.
Yeah, I'm surprised they did it this way because I thought they would have Roxanne in the tournament first. Toxic Attraction cost her the match, and then they go to the tag team match after. I don't think they needed to do it here. I would have rather this week they done, because the tournament started this week, they done Roxanne's match this week, had her lose because they cost her, and then next week you do the tag team title match. That's the way around. That made sense.
But to me. maybe they're doing it as obviously,
and maybe they want Roxanne to win the tournament.
Mandy was involved in this match, and you win a title shot if you win the tournament. So maybe now they're going to have Roxanne win the tournament and challenge Mandy to get revenge. Yeah. So either way works, but obviously Roxanne has to win the tournament for that to work. Yeah. I think, and that means beating Nikita Lyons, by the way, who is also one of the other big stars that they push hugely on NXT.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, let's get into that then. We had the first two matches and Nikita Lyons is through. She beat Ariana Grace.
Yeah.
It's just for the main event, that one.
It wasn't anything special, but Grace got more offense in than I was expecting her to here. And the match was okay.
It was nothing special, but she now goes through and she faces Fallon Henley. I think just them two against each other next round.
It is, yeah.
She beat Sloane Jacobs, who I think they said was 19, very young.
Yeah, she's the youngest competitor in the tournament. I think Fallon Henley may have been the oldest actually. She's 27, I believe.
Yeah. No, that's right. Yeah, because
I think she's more experienced.
At the start of the show, they did that.
There's a couple of these people that really break out in terms of they've been with NXT a while, and Fallon's one of those.
Yeah, I mean Lash, Fallon. Yeah, Nikita Lyons will have had quite a few matches on the card. But I thought, out of these four women, by the way, that breakout we've seen so far, I thought Fallon Henley was the most impressive. I thought she looked really good, actually.
Yeah, I think she is. I think she's pretty good in the ring. Obviously, she's been hanging around with Briggs and Jensen for quite a while, but we haven't seen her. We've seen her wrestle. I think she's wrestled Elektra Lopez, maybe.
Yeah, I think they did a mixed tag match once as well.
Yeah, this was a good showing for her. I thought she looked good here. I thought she would win because, like I say, Sloane Jacobs very, very young. But Nikita versus Fallon next week. I don't know if it's next week, just in the semis, which I'm pretty sure Nikita's going to win.
Maybe they do a final of Roxanne v Nikita.
I think that's the final it should be. 100%.
Yeah, I mean, you got Lash Legend, but we don't want to see Lash Legend v Nikita Lyons.
I don't rate Lash so far, to be honest with you. I don't rate her in the ring.
I'm the same. Well, again, we've seen her before, but do you rate Alba Fire in the ring?
She's. This was the second match I was going to talk about in terms of being really good because she is Kaylee Ray or Alba Fire is fantastic, and I actually think her new presentation works.
I was going to say I actually quite like her new name. Alba Fire is quite a cool name.
It's actually decent. She's got new music, new presentation. Her finisher is now called the Fire Bomb, which probably works better than the
KLR bomb.
KLR bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she did an awesome senton. I mean, she's awesome. She's an awesome wrestler, and
Yeah, she's amazing.
I
Yeah.
actually think this presentation worked. I hope that they push her like they should, because for me, she should be NXT Women's Champion probably by the.
Yeah, and she's someone, there isn't many in NXT, but she's someone you could put on the main roster tomorrow, and she'd be she's at that level already, I think.
Yeah.
Again, I know she's wrestled a lot in NXT UK. It's not like she's new.
Oh, and she's been around for years. I mean, I remember watching her on some random UK.
Oh, yeah, that UK wrestling show. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Piper Niven or Doudrop was also on that as well. But yeah, those two are very, very experienced wrestlers who've been around for a long time. So, you know,
yeah, she's amazing. And this was a good match against Amari Miller.
It was, and Amari Miller, they kind of played into her the fact that she obviously got a major injury a couple of months ago. I think it was when wrestling Lash Legend actually, and she's back. So you know, good to see her back in that sense, because she had a serious injury, and she's recovered pretty quickly.
Yeah. Well, there were actually, before I was going to move on to a kind of promo segment, but there was one more match. Let's just cover off all the matches first.
Yeah, we might as well go through it.
We had the mixed tag match from out of nowhere. Did you think you'd be seeing Sarray and Andre Chase as a tag team?
I kind of liked it here. Although Bodie Hayward dressing as Sarray was a bit weird.
Yeah, I did enjoy. Again, Chase U have gone from heel to face. Like they were heel definitely originally, but
I think they're better in the face.
Oh, they're so good, and I like them here because I actually don't like when Sarray changes the character when she enters, but it kind of was funny here because they were backstage and they were like, "Is that what she's wearing to the ring?" And then they got through the thing, and then I mean, he's just got a blue top on. It was a bit random, and let's say Brody Hayward had pigtails and stuff. It was a bit.
And again, this match. I mean, we said it was 2-man wrestling, but for me, the main part of the match was with the women.
Yeah.
And Sarray for me stands out. I think she's so good, and her drop kick to Waller out of the ring, and he really sold it.
Oh, yeah, that was amazing. Yeah,
that was a great selling from him. And there was also Tiffany did a dive onto Bodie Hayward as well. So they did wrestle the men a bit here.
Yeah,
and I thought they both looked impressive. Tiffany obviously did her. I like her finisher.
Oh yeah, that little like
I can't remember what she calls
off
but
the top.
I do like her finisher.
I might be able to tell you, I've got the website up. I've always got it for a move. No, I haven't got a move.
Oh well. No. So she was gonna did that, but then Bodie broke it up and did the air horn, didn't he? And then Sarray rolled up Tiffany for the win, which was kind of a bit of a rubbish finish. But yeah, you know, I thought it was good action. It was actually nice to see the mixed tag and them interacting more. So
just quickly, they call it corner splash. That's what it's called on the website. So I'm sure it's not called that, but that's what they've written.
That just basically describes what the move does.
Yeah, exactly. What I do like though is the team of Tiffany and Grayson Waller. Like they just fit perfectly in my opinion.
Yeah, they do fit so well together. Good. Yeah.
I like their little. I think they were like out shopping or something. They had their little promo thing earlier in the show. There we go. We can see it now, Fisher. Yeah.
Yeah. I
with the new background.
I just got the lights.
You descend into darkness.
I know. I just realised it was getting darker and darker, and I thought, let's quickly do the lights.
Yeah. But yeah, this team is great, and they like their characters just fit really well together. They're both being their old characters still, but it fits so well them two together.
It does. They're both very unlikable.
I mean, Sarray and Andre Chase is a bit random, but I was into it.
Here.
I was into it. Yeah.
Into it. So let's move on to sort of storyline bits.
Yeah, should we mention Joe Gacy? I know you don't like him massively.
I was hoping the feud was over.
Well, he invited Braun Breaker to join his movement. Interesting. And he had his two disciples with him.
I am interested to see who they are.
They didn't get revealed here, which I was surprised by. I mean, I think it was Krusty who said it last week.
I know what you're going to say, yeah.
Grizzled Young Vets.
I think it's them as well.
That's who I think it is.
Yeah.
Because one side's bigger than the other as well. And I was like, oh, that's like Gibson, that's James Strick. I was like, in my head, I was like, I think I know who they are. So I'm convinced it's them.
I think it's them now as well. I was hoping they were going to reveal them here. They didn't. but yeah, they will certainly be better backup people than Harlan was, to be fair.
Yeah,
and I think that they can obviously offer more in ring and also can help out on the mic. Joe Gacy is pretty good on the mic, but I think Zach Gibson's amazing on the mic. So, you know,
he is, yeah.
If it was them, I'd be all for it, for definite. I thought this was all okay. I just don't like they left him. There's too much of this kind of stuff on NXT where they kind of kidnap people and leave them in places.
God, I mean, let's move on to Gardo and Tony.
I do like this feud, but
this was interesting for these two, wasn't it? Going at it back and forth. Just like, I mean, I'm assuming this a 6-man tag is the end goal here.
Probably. And it's a 1-on-1 next week, isn't it?
I just wish we don't really know how good Tony D'Angelo's two are yet, because we've not seen them.
I don't know anything about them.
We've seen them attack, but we've not seen them wrestle.
I do love the interactions between Escobar and D'Angelo. They feel like proper.
It does really work, and they're both kind of heel. Like Escobar's not particularly I mentioned this last week. Face.
Like I feel like it's not like two. It's not one bad guy, one good guy. It's two badass factions going at it. And that's what I like about it.
Yeah, I think it works. I think you need a heel and a face.
It feels like something AEW would do, to be honest, in that sense.
Yeah.
Because AEW does that quite well, and NXT, WWE normally fall into the pattern of, right, okay, he's the good guy, he's the bad guy, but here it is just two badass factions and two leaders who want the same thing going at it, and trying to get one over each other, and it really works. I think it's really good.
Yeah, me too. Completely agree. The only other thing on the show we've not mentioned, I think, is Solo Sikoa challenge Cameron Grimes, but after
this is just kind of dragging on a little bit, isn't it?
What's his name?
Solo Sikoa is very over, though. I will say that
he is, but we had these guys in triple threat, and now they're all three of them are still in the North American title picture.
It's a bit odd.
Yeah, I'd have liked to have seen Carmelo move up and challenge. I also want to see Carmelo v Breaker. That's what I want to see for the title.
There was one other bit just to mention where we talked about Toxic Attraction earlier, actually. They were mocking Indy Hartwell.
Oh, yeah, they're going to get Indy Hartwell.
So I don't know if we're going to get maybe Mandy Rose versus Indy Hartwell.
We could do. It'd be nice to see Indy doing something.
Yeah, I hope so. Hope she does something left.
We also, just quickly, whilst I've just seen here, we had the Viking Raiders. They're fighting again next week, I think. Viking Raiders and Creed Brothers.
Because this is a very, very good bit of action, because Damon Kemp was introduced as the new member of Diamond Mine, and of course he is Bobby Stevenson, Gable Stevenson's brother, another Olympic athlete type guy. So he fits into Diamond Mine massively. We've said that, maybe Gable Stevenson can go into Alpha Academy, and they're like the NXT version, aren't they? It's weird.
Yeah.
So it makes total sense. But yes, we're getting the Raiders and Creed Brothers again next week, which will be.
And then just to see what Damon Kemp can do, because I actually didn't know he was his brother. So I think you said you're the one that told me that. So I'm interested to see. Again, we don't know how good Gable Stevenson is, because we've seen him do one suplex to Chad Gable so far. So I'm interested to see. They're obviously we know they can wrestle, because Gable Stevenson's won by the Olympics and stuff.
It's a different type of wrestling, though, isn't it? But it's a good base. It's a very good basis to have.
If we're going off previous Kurt Angle, Chad Gable types, they can wrestle. So well, I'm very intrigued to see what they do there. We also got some on the Diamond Mine subject. We've got some weird Ivy Nile stuff. Where she was doing like push-ups, and I didn't really get what that was.
They're just making her look good, weren't they? Because she was competing against men and beating them.
Yeah, just
it would get boring if they did it every week as a one-off thing. If they do it one,
not expected Ivy Nile to be doing, but there we go.
Should we move on to AEW?
Yes, let's move on to AEW. And is there anything from Rampage? Looking.
There was obviously the women's tag match, but obviously that led to a singles match really on Dynamite, so not too much to say there. There was also Hook v JD Drake that led to what is going to be my top mark actually from Dynamite, which is to do with Hook and Danhausen. Danhausen leaving Hook some crisps as a gift after he shoved him away. He tried to help Hook, but and he asked him to be in his corner. What else was there? There was Riho with Yuka Sakazaki. That was okay.
We had Kazarian challenge.
Yes, Dan Lambert actually healing it up now, trying to get booed because he's been getting face cheers going against Sammy Guevara.
Yeah, but I think it's actually quite a cool match we're getting. I think
Scorpio
it's actually
Sky says he doesn't want the title to be passed around like Ty Conti backstage, which was a bit of an over the line.
Actually, I know he was like, I'm also take off that belt, Dan. He was like, I only want one belt.
Yes, I like that.
So good. Scorpio Sky, I love Scorpio Sky, but I think this match on Rampage is going to be really cool because they are the first tag team champions on AEW.
Yeah,
Kazarian and Scorpio Sky. So there is a long-term story here. Yeah, I mean, Sky's going to win. We know this, but it's going to be a cool match, I think.
And then the main event was between Konosuke Takashita and Jay Lethal, which I thought was a really good match. Actually, I didn't know anything about Takashita. There's some New Japan guys I know stuff about and I've seen. There's some guys that I didn't know anything about this guy at all. But I thought he had some really cool moves, actually. There was a clothesline thing he did off the top rope, which got a near fall, which was really cool. He countered a lethal injection as well at one point, but in the end, got hit by the lethal injection, and Jay Lethal won, as you'd expect. And then Satnam Singh was destroying people. Orange Cassidy kind of put his hands in his pockets, backed away. Samoa Joe come down, didn't he? But nothing really happened. To be honest, it was just a bit of a random ending, but the match, I thought that was the best thing on the show. That match, it was good.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
So let's move on to Dynamite.
Yeah, do you want to go on to your top mark? Because
I might as well. I started talking about how they set it up on Rampage really with obviously Tony Nese was challenging, called out Danhausen and wanted a match against him. We've not seen Danhausen wrestle before on AEW. And Danhausen wanted Hook to be in his corner, basically to help him. Because Tony has Mark in his corner, Mark Sterling. And Hook seemed to reject it, but then Danhausen offered him some crisps that were wrapped up in a bow. And obviously Hook liked that because on the match we got Tony Nese versus Danhausen. And I know you're not a big Tony Nese fan here, Keeney, but I thought Tony Nese looked fantastic.
Is this is this the record quickest win in AEW
history? It might
history?
be. And it was. I thought this was awesome. He just looked so cool, like with his knee strike.
Yeah.
Just come out, knee strike, pin. And Dan, at first I was like, oh God, they've just kind of, they've squashed Danhausen. But it's Danhausen. He's not really meant to be a wrestler, right? He can wrestle a bit. We know this, but he's a comedy character. But the top mark comes from afterwards for me. And the crowd, the pop here was like it was mental, the pop here for a comedy thing where Tony Nese is hitting more and more knees. I think he hits the second one. He goes to hit a third one, but he puts the knee pad down. And as soon as he puts the knee pad down, Hook's music hits. The crowd goes nuts. Chant Hookhausen. And they back out of the ring, and then Hook and Danhausen shake hands, and the crowd for the handshake went absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
And I think that just shows how over these two to put them together, I think has been an absolute genius move.
Who thought
I think
that?
it's a genius move.
Out of nowhere, yeah.
It's one of those things where I would never think that would work, but it works perfectly.
It does. I think it's a good top mark, and I loved basically all this. I say most I've ever enjoyed Tony Nese, by the way. I thought he looked great here. It's just the only thing I don't like is I was looking forward to seeing Danhausen wrestle, and he didn't wrestle because he just got beat in seconds. That's the only thing I want to see him wrestle.
I don't mind that because of the character he is.
Yeah.
It's a bit like the Drew Gulak thing, isn't it? Like we said, he got squashed by Gunter, and there's a shame he didn't get a proper match. But like he's great in other ways. And obviously Danhausen is very different to Drew Gulak, but in a similar sense.
Yeah.
And Hook's the key here. I think we're so into Hook. We've been going on about Hook every time he's on screen for months. And he is really good in ring and has just such a cool character.
Yeah, everything he does is cool.
Putting them together is just a genius move. I really think it is.
It is, yeah, it is. Kudos to whoever got with that. I'll go to my top mark as we're on, and I think it's actually the next segment as well on Dynamite.
Yeah.
My top mark is the contract signing between MJF and Wardlow.
I did enjoy this
and it's a whole segment in general. I mean, it started with a Dark Side of the Ring vignette.
Yes, so he was.
Like,
at first, I thought we'd
selfish.
gone cut to an ad break for some reason.
I was confused.
And then advertising Dark Side of the Ring, because obviously Dark Side of the Ring is a show about bad things that have happened in wrestling business. But he was taking this was a piss take of it.
Yeah.
And he had Taz acting on it as well.
Yeah, it was
hilariously.
amazing.
It was brilliant. Yeah, it was really funny.
It was amazing. And then Wardlow came out with no music, and I think it said Wardlow sucks something on the
Boo
Titantron. Boo Wardlow, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then we're talking about pops away. MJF got some pop here.
It's Long Island, isn't it?
I know he's in his hometown.
It also had a counter effect on CM Punk, which we'll talk about later.
Oh yeah, that was strange. Yeah. But yeah, I thought the response was great. I love seeing MJF almost try and play a face to the crowd. It was so interesting to see. It's so funny, and just I don't know if I have any quotes in particular from MJF, but I thought he was just superb. And what I like about MJF is he just owns everything he does. Like he's just so good. Just maybe like I think we said before, he's just the best heel in professional wrestling. He's just insanely good at it. And so they're going to before their match, he's going to lash Wardlow, and he counted up how many times he's going to lash
This
him.
is my favorite bit. Sean Spears' bit.
And he got to he got counted up to 9, and then he went over to Sean Spears and 10.
And he did the old 10, the Ty Dillinger 10. We haven't seen it.
From out of nowhere.
I loved it.
Not expecting
I love that callback. There was some good callbacks here, and obviously as well. Talking of callbacks, he mentioned Cody Rhodes by name here, a couple of times. Well, he said something about him being a roller coaster or something, and then he
called him the American roller coaster. Yeah, that was quite good.
That was it. And he mentioned Cody Rhodes, and then he also said, "Oh, you don't like me mentioning 2024?" And even as the guy in the back, referring to his contract running out in 2024.
Yeah, I know.
And Tony Khan doesn't like him mentioning it on TV. Apparently, that's actually a legit thing because MJF is supposedly. I don't know how. You never know how real this is, but he supposedly has got two minds. Like whoever hired bidder is, whoever wants me more, I'm going to go. And WWE are going to want him. It is
100%.
And AEW are going to be desperate to keep him. So. It's one of those things. And
that was funny, wasn't it?
I thought that was great. And it was clearly improvised as well.
Just anything. MJF, I don't think he needs a script. He could just go off on his own. He's just so good.
It's unbelievable. How many times has a MJF promo been a top mark?
I feel like it could be most weeks.
It's just so many times.
It's just insane how good he is. I can't praise him enough. And then Wardlow went to sign a contract with his handcuffs, couldn't do it, so MJF ordered him. He take them off, and it just resulted in a big old brawl, beat up all this crew.
Yeah, Mark ended up going through the table, didn't he?
Yeah, Mark
Sterling. He gets battering, doesn't he? He's everywhere.
He is everywhere. Yeah. He is. Yeah, he was with Tony Nese.
He's with Jake Cargill. Yeah, he's everywhere, but he's normally there as just a full guy.
He is. Yeah, but I just thought the second one was great, and again,
it was really good.
Talk about. I can't wait for this match. And so I mentioned he's got the 10 lashes. He's also got a steel cage match with Sean Spears, and you're thinking that's strange. And then he starts laughing, and then MJF's like, "I don't know why you're laughing, mate. You're 0-2 in cage matches."
Yeah,
which is quite a nice little callback to the records there. But yeah, this match is now official for Double or Nothing. Probably the match I'm looking forward to the most. It'd be hard to top it, I think, just because the story's been so good from both, not just MJF. Wardlow's played a big part in it as well.
It's been a really well told story over time.
Yeah, and it's just superb. And we've got a few weeks to go yet, and we kind of know the next couple of steps as well along the way. So, although the only thing I will say with the lashes thing, I'm sure did he do that to Punk as well?
No, I think it was Cody that did that.
Cody,
once.
Yeah, we've seen that before though. The 10 lashes before their match.
Yeah,
we have seen that before. I
think it was Cody in a match. I don't know if it's MJF. I can't remember. I feel like it was Cody though.
Yeah, That's the only thing. It's been done on AW TV before, definitely. So, but yeah, you know.
Should we move on to some actual sort of matches? Because we've talked about 2 great segments.
Yeah, let's go on to some wrestling.
So the opener was Shawn Michaels v Bret Hart, or Dax versus Adam Cole. But that was kind of what they were kind of billing it as. And yes, this was just a good match, as you'd expect. I feel like Adam Cole always opens the show when he's on it.
Yeah, I feel like that is his music always opens, doesn't it?
And the main talking point really here is the finish. There was a really good Panama Sunrise counted into a pile driver by Dax, which was awesome. But the finish itself, so Dax got the sharpshooter in, again, playing on Bret Hart.
Yeah.
He's just a Bret Hart, like,
he loves him so much. Yeah.
Gets that in. And I thought Adam Cole would win this match, but I didn't expect what happened to happen. And that was Adam Cole actually got the sharpshooter in himself.
You got a submission win, yeah.
Dax tapped out. He didn't even pass out from it.
Yeah, he tapped out, yeah.
Dax tapped out.
You tapped out. Yeah. So, it's cool. It's a really good match. I'd have loved to have seen Dax progress further, but once he was against Cole, you kind of knew he wasn't going to beat Adam Cole. It's interesting because I can't remember who he faces in the next round. Oh, it's the winner of the main event match, isn't it? Who he faces next round. But I think, again, I don't know if we've been told what happens to the winner of this tournament. But I feel like
no, I can't remember.
Cole is a strong contender already to win it.
Yeah,
in my opinion,
he definitely is.
I think it would have been interesting to have Dax progress. So I think that could have been really interesting. But
yeah, but I didn't think Adam Cole was losing here.
No,
there was another match in the tournament on the same night, which they randomly out of the blue was just decided it would be. Was it just an Extreme Rules style match, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, at least Darby was like, "Are you're going to want to waiver the rules for us too, because we're not going to stick to them," kind of thing. Which I kind of get. It feels a bit weird to do it in a tournament match where the other matches aren't the stipulation.
It's kind of out of nowhere, and they're not like a heated rivalry. I know they're 2 just crazy guys.
Yeah.
And what did you make? Thing is, right, I was looking forward to this match. It was Darby Allin and Jeff Hardy. I love Jeff Hardy. I love Darby Allin. But there were 2 things I didn't like about it.
Okay.
First of all, it didn't feel like a rest. They even said they feel like stuntmen. And it felt like stuntmen doing stunts, not wrestlers doing wrestling. There was no wrestling moves in this. It was a big spot, recovery, big spot. There was no linking in between. I don't mind there being a couple of big spots, but there was nothing in between that, really. Yeah,
that's a good point.
Secondly, it finished on a roll-up. You have all these crazy spots and it finishes on a roll-up. I never like that. I've criticised the match before recently for doing the same thing. It's not the end of the world, that, at all, by the way. And I do think it protects, obviously, Darby Allin in defeat, who I was thinking, who are they going to have take the pin here? Because Darby doesn't lose very often. Not clear.
Yeah.
And Jeff Hardy is Jeff Hardy. Like,
yeah, he's still like,
you feel like he needs
a new big star.
I actually thought Darby might win, by the way. I thought Darby might win.
Yeah, I would have probably gone that way if I was.
So for Jeff to win by roll-up, I think was a little bit of a cop-out. But that was my criticism. But I will say the spots they did do were really, really good and mental. I mean, the one from the top of the ladder.
I mean, Hardy on the side of the steps was mad enough like that. Yeah. But Darby's one is absolutely mental, absolutely insane. Because
I think even Jeff was like, "By the way, I'm not doing that."
Yeah, well, Jeff tried to catch him, and he tried really hard. Like when Darby fell, he got up and tried to basically move him away from the side of the steps, because Darby had no control of where he was landing. Darby, I'm sure, he knows roughly where he wants to land, but his body was heading towards the edge of the chairs. I think Jeff tried to grab him to push him back into the middle of the chairs, but it's absolutely mental. Darby Allin. I say it. I feel like I say it every week. I always praise him, Jeff Premiers, and I'm always going to say Darby Allin is mental. Absolutely.
He is. There's no doubt about it.
But yeah, I mean, the spots I loved, but you are right. The finish was odd, and there wasn't.
I feel like they just did too much. I feel like they did a bit too much without there being anything in the middle. I just thought it was.
Yeah, and I wonder whether this match they could have built a rivalry on to because this was the dream match, wasn't it? Darby and Jeff.
Yeah.
We've probably said since we saw Darby Allin, oh, him and Jeff Hardy would be good because he's basically a Jeff Hardy.
And they didn't build to it, and it ended on a roll up. We might get it again.
It seemed a bit rushed, and I mean, you could have done more.
I feel like we might get it again one day. Like maybe a few months down the line, I'll do something proper more with it.
Maybe. And interested that Jeff advances as well, because I actually think there's way more to do in the tag division for the Hardy Boys rather than the Jeff singles run.
Yeah, and Darby, I actually think it's the wrong decision.
Yeah, I think you would have had Darby and Adam Cole next round. It would have been quite cool. I mean, Jeff with Adam Cole's quite cool as well.
That is a cool match.
Yeah. I just thought, I don't know if Jeff Hardy on a singles run is what you want right now. And again, maybe he loses next round and that's a singles run over. But I mean, again, we saw the Undisputed Elite come out at the end and kind of stared him down.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'd rather see the Hardys v the Bucks over Cole v Jeff Hardy. But
I think that's what we're getting. Will lead to maybe the Bucks cost Jeff the match.
Yeah.
And we still get, I reckon at Double or Nothing, maybe we get the Bucks and the Hardys.
Yeah, maybe.
I think that's what we'll probably get, to be honest.
That would be amazing.
And talking of tag team matches, this wasn't a tag team match, but it's leading to a tag team title match, I think. So we've got Ricky Starks and Jungle Boy on this show.
Yeah.
With the FTW title on the line. And the main thing to take away from this, it was, first of all, good match, as you'd expect, between these two guys.
Both really good.
Near falls from a spear, and then Swerve comes down. There was quite a bit of interference. But my main takeaway is I think they've been a little bit teasing a heel turn within Jurassic Express for a while. But here, I really felt like it stepped up a notch with Christian and Jungle Boy. I thought Christian was turning here.
Because he kind of stayed in the ring, didn't he? And was turned around to look at
and Jungle Boy was really distraught after the match. Luchasaurus wanted nothing, didn't really get involved. And I think there's going to be a split out and turn coming here somewhere. I'm just wondering, is it going to be Christian or is it going to be Jungle Boy? Because I thought it was going to be Christian originally.
Yeah, so my prediction would be that Christian turns heel. He costs Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus the tag titles, and then we get a Christian Jungle Boy feud.
Yeah,
that's my prediction.
Yeah,
and maybe you put the belts on Red Dragon or whoever. I know they're not necessarily going to be involved in this tag team. Maybe it's not going to happen now.
Maybe you put them on Keith Lee and Swerve because it feels like they're involved in this.
Yeah, and then you got Ricky and Powerhouse Hobbs.
I think we're going to get a triple threat tag team match.
I just don't feel like those other two are proper teams. I don't know if they would put the belts on either of those other two. With the Hardys, with FTR, with all these tag teams.
I don't think it'd be a long run if they did, but
it'd be weird to put it on two singles guys as a team. I mean, and if you're going to do that, you'd go for Danielson and Mox, wouldn't you? Or you'd go for I don't know. It just the two teams who were out there with them. I just don't think they're tag team champion worthy.
I do agree with you in a sense. I think
with their tag division as it is, I think it'd be a strange choice.
Yeah, I do agree with you in a way.
But who knows? Maybe.
But yeah, I just thought that was an interesting little bit at the end.
Yeah, that was interesting. Definitely interesting. Trying to look at what else we had.
Definitely got 2 or 3 other things left yet.
Well, you mentioned him earlier. CM Punk.
Yeah. He faced John
match.
Silver, didn't he?
Yeah.
Decent match. Didn't go that long. But what I really like the finish to this match. So Punk was just staring at Hangman Page and hit a buckshot lariat and pinned him.
Yeah. That was pretty cool.
That was a savage finish. I thought it was really, really good. And then afterwards as well, the little promo and Punk, saying, I will make you shake my hand, and puts his hand out, and Page just puts his middle finger up and walks off. I feel like the rivalry's heated up a little bit the last couple of weeks.
It has, but I feel like they are taking turns to be heels, and I don't think that's the right way to go. Because last week, I don't remember Adam Page's promo it was a bit heel, and then Punk was very heel here. I thought he come out in that jersey.
Yeah, I think they played into the previous story of MJF where he got booed.
Yeah,
didn't he?
Yeah,
and the fans haven't forgotten that, obviously, and we're booing Punk here. But then Punk kind of played on that, whereas I don't know, it's not really relevant to this story. That's the problem.
I actually don't think either should play a heel. I think you should just have 2 guys who are desperate to win the title and just going at it.
I mean, maybe that's what they're trying to do, because I don't feel either of them has
everything else going on this card. There's a lot of big feuds on this card. I don't think you need to have this with a face and heel. Like I just don't think it's the right decision to send either of them heel yet.
No, I agree. I don't actually think either of them are turning though. I honestly don't.
No, but they both do something a bit heely every week. So one will do, and then one
I know.
will do
It's felt like that
week.
the last 2 weeks. Anyway.
So maybe next week Paige is something a bit heely, and then it's like, it's just a bit confusing.
Yeah. No, I get you. I do get you. A couple more things from the show. So there's the Jericho Appreciation Society promo.
The victory speech.
One of them, I can't remember which one it was. It was one of the old 2.8 guys.
Angelo.
Some weird stuff at the start about saying you don't want to see me. You don't want to. I can't remember what it was, but it sounded like really weird and sexual.
Oh yeah, Menard. What's the something Menard? Matt Menard, Daddy
That's
Magic, he's called.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
He was like, do you know what gets my nipples hard or something?
yeah.
He was like,
no,
being a part of the greatest faction in the world. So, okay.
That was it. And then Jericho with a good line. It was just like Jericho 216 says, "I just burnt your face."
Yeah, I know.
That was funny. I popped for that bit. But what I really thought was interesting here is obviously the Blackpool Combat Club. I knew we were going to get this feud at some point.
Yeah, I think I said this at the start. It makes sense for the sports entertainers to feud
like the
with the proper wrestlers. Yeah. It makes
and the stars
sense.
in this in this ring right there. Well, Jericho mainly on his side, to be fair. But
yeah, I mean,
Jericho,
that's the only thing. Jericho Appreciation Society isn't that strong in terms of performers compared to Santana, Ortiz, Kingston, Moxley, Daniel. Like
it's more about numbers.
It's a bit of a mismatch.
Garcia is good though.
And it's also now 6v5 against Jericho Appreciation Society.
Yeah, but I feel like the match is gonna.
Unless Kingston doesn't wrestle.
Maybe Kingston might wrestle or something.
Didn't he?
I feel like we're going to have, a 5-on-5 match or something.
And also,
it'll probably be like a stadium stampede or something, won't it?
Or
it'll be something like
blood
that.
and guts or something.
Yeah.
I actually heard this on another podcast, so I'm not going to take any credit for this. But interestingly, the reason the whole Jericho and Inner Circle broke up was because Santana and Ortiz didn't want to be in the background, and I feel like they're already in the background with this new Kingston group again. So that's the only thing here. They've not gained anything from this feud, which I thought was the whole point of it originally in the first place.
That is true. I feel like they've really played on. What I did like is they played on obviously Mox and Kingston's history here. And that was the reason Mox come out, and he comes out first. I thought that was very.
Yeah, he got a big pop, didn't he, Moxie as well? He got a proper reaction.
And then the others come down, and then obviously they were outnumbered for once. I thought it was really well done. Actually, I really enjoyed that. And I'm excited for that match if it happens.
Yeah, I just think that you could just have a mad match. Like I say, Stadium Stampede would be perfect. Just have them fight everywhere.
Yeah,
like I say, I just think it would be a great match. I say it's a really fun match to watch, won't it?
Yeah. And then there was one other thing really from Dynamite of note, which was Jamie Hayter versus Toni Storm in the women's Owen Hart Cup match. Wasn't too much to say about it.
This was a match I wasn't actually sure who was going to win. So
I thought Tony was definitely going to win.
The only reason I wasn't sure was because they have mentioned that if they both win, the next round would be Jamie Hayter v Britt Baker. But they might do that match in this thing. They might have Britt Baker cost Toni Storm here. Then you do Baker and Hayter, and then something happens there. I thought they might do that. So I was half expecting Jamie Hayter to win. I don't know why.
Really, I really thought they were going to be able to Tony and Britt. I don't know who's going to win that though. That one is hard to call. I'm thinking Tony, but I'm not sure. Britt, you can never rule out Britt Baker. She's like the queen in AEW.
She is still there. Well, yeah, she's
still on
TV
the most. Like Thunder Rosa still barely gets a look in, even though she's champion.
Jade Cargill is coming close to Britt Baker's level, I think now. But
I do agree with that.
I still think Thunder Rosa's level below, personally. Those two.
Well, I think it's more presentation. I don't think she's the level.
Yeah, no.
I mean, in ring, I think she's better than both of them. To be honest.
So I do agree with that. But as a top female star to hang your company on. I think she's not quite at Cargill and Baker's level.
But half of that, I think, is due to their booking of her more than.
Yeah, they've made a mess of her, and again, she's still not really doing much. I mean, we got a bit of hype with her and Serena Deeb.
Yeah.
Which I think will be a good match, a very good wrestling match, because they're both really good in ring.
That will be a good match. I have no doubt about that.
That's the one I think is that's a booked for Dublin. I think that one. So that'll be a good one.
That will be a banger, I'm sure. But the build to it hasn't been great so far. It's been okay, but again, they don't do. It's the opposite of NXT. NXT there, we're just saying how many women they put on that, how much screen time they give their women. AEW does the opposite of it, and that's always going to happen, unfortunately.
Basically, and by basically I mean always have just one women's match. They'll very rarely have a second. They'll never, and it's just it's a bit formulaic. What's our one women's match this week?
And it's normally the shortest match as well. Yeah, 9 times out of 10. Sometimes they give it a main event and they do give it a proper good match.
They
have every now and then, but it's rare. It is a bit of a shame because I think there's some good people there.
It is, and I'm surprised they can't get Jade Cargill on Dynamite very often, like wrestling.
Yeah,
she only ever wrestles on Rampage. It feels. Jade Cargill.
Dark Elevation. Yeah, and it's interesting because we've got a joke. So we've got Joker in the women's division, haven't we, as well?
Yeah. So next week, I can't remember what they called next week. It was like
Wild Card week, I think.
Wild Card Wednesday or something. But we've got the two Jokers appearing next week.
Yeah. So Joe, I'm not sure who's the women's one facing.
Britt Baker.
Right. So that's interesting. Because normally you bring in a Joker.
I have no idea who the Joker is going to be on the women's side.
I don't think it's going to be anyone that big because I think they're going to have Britt win to build to Britt be Tony Storm.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we saw. I say we saw. I didn't watch it. I don't know if you did, but Mia Yim returned to Impact at the weekend in the pay-per-view. So she was an option for a wild card, I think. With Keith
obviously Athena or Ember Moon, as she used to be called, is a huge option to have out there. Tegan Knox is another one.
That's why I mentioned Tegan.
It could be. I think Tegan Knox you could bring in and she could lose to Britt Baker.
Too early for Dakota Kai.
I think. Yeah, it can't be Dakota Kai.
Yeah.
I think.
Or Candice LeRae because
I think if you brought in Athena and she just lost to Britt Baker straight away or something, would be a bit weird.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It could be anybody. I have no clue on the men's side either. I honestly have no idea.
Yeah.
And again, they're facing Samoa Joe. So do you have Joe lose, who's a champion, or do you have Joe just beat someone?
Well, the thing with Joe is you could have, he is kind of in a feud. So I always think you can get Joe a loss in the first round by having Jay Lethal get involved.
Yeah, that's probably what will happen.
That's how and then Joe can have his Ring of Honor title match and not involved in the tournament. So yeah, that's a way to do Joe. Even Baker, you could have Tony Storm cross Baker if you wanted to do that. But yeah. No,
I think that's pretty much it, isn't it, from AEW?
Yeah, I think we've covered the whole week in wrestling.
Yep, pretty much done. So follow us on Twitter at Recharge Wrestle if you're not already. If you're listening to the podcast, check out our YouTube channel, Recharge Wrestling. Subscribe there, like our videos, etc. Interact with our polls on Twitter. I've been doing quite a lot of those recently. Also follow Robot Republic at Robot Republic _, who the podcast network we are a part of. We will be back next week, I think, as normal. And then I think the week after that is Double or Nothing week. So we may have a special coming up there. So we're going to have loads of content. Wow. It's the 29th, I think, or the end of this month. So soon.
Wow. Can't wait.
Obviously, we've got your My GM series on. I've been watching that every day when the videos come out. So keep an eye on that. Really great content. Yep. We've got obviously other stuff that we do on the channel. So look out for all our content and we'll see you next week.
Cool. See you next week, guys.
Bye.